Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Om Tat Sat. Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, verse number 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kachit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kachin mam vetti tattvataha. Manushyanam sahasreshu kachit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kachin mam vetti tattvataha. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. Synonyms: Manushyanam, of men, sahasreshu, out of many thousands, Kachit, someone, yatati, endeavors, siddhaye, for perfection, yatatam, of those who endeavoring, api, indeed, siddhanam, of those who have achieved perfection, kachit, someone, mam, me, veti, does know, tattvataha, in fact. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shubhopad ki jai. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. I will repeat. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization. For this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, is admitted in the Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of the bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101, very important verse. Shruti Smruti Purana Pancharatrika Vidimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhakter Utpataiva Kalpate. Devotion service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality regarded as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muhyanti at Suraya, Mam tu Vedana Krishna. No one knows me as I am. The Lord says, and if one does know him, then Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, Tattvataha. Even though one is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Ata Sri Krishna Namad Nabhavet Grahkam Indriyahi Sevonmukhe Jihvado Swayameva Spurati Yada. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses. But he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. Try to understand this verse. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Yat Krupa Tamaham Mande Sri Gurum Devatarinam Paramanandam Sri Chaitanya Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Bhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Swapadam. Shri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So this is chapter 7 titled Knowledge of the Absolute. So first we should understand what this knowledge of the Absolute means, because there is a inferior and superior knowledge, Aparavidya and Paravidya. Then we will try to understand this chapter connection from chapter 6 to chapter 7, and then there are sections what this chapter entails, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan is giving at a high level, what this chapter means, and then we'll try to understand this what this Siddhi and Tattva means in this verse, and then we'll try to understand also, on the Siddhi and Tattva from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now first let's understand the inferior and superior knowledge. When Krishna says knowledge of the Absolute, what does it mean? So the Apara Vidya, inferior knowledge, which contains anything about the Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes Mundaka Upanishads, Dvi Vidye Veditavya iti Hasma Yad Brahma Vido Vadanti Pura Chaiva Aparacha. Para Chaiva Aparacha, two of them. Those two are Tatra Apara, Rugvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Atharvavedo, Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chanda, Jyotisham iti. Till this point, 4 Vedas and this including the Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, all this, etc., are all coming under inferior knowledge, because they are not talking about the Supreme Absolute Truth. The second one, Ata Para Iya Tad Aksharam Adigamyate. So the second feature is the superior knowledge, which is talking about completely pure absolute truth, which is discussed fully in Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana. So that's what here knowledge of the Absolute means. No mixture of any karma, jnana, yoga. So it's complete pure bhakti, ananya bhakti, prema. So that's what here knowledge of the Absolute means. So the middle 6 chapters specifically, first 6 chapters are talking about more around the Nishkama Karma, bringing on to the Nishkama Karma, where it is also Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning the about the Swarupa of Jiva. It is talking about the Swarupa of the Jiva, or constitutional position of Jiva and the worshipper. And means to realize it. And the middle 6 chapters talking about the Swarupa of the Lord, the object of the worship by the Jiva, and means to realize him. So that's what is been described here. So now to understand about the chapter 7, there are 6 sections at least. The first 1 to 3, today's verse is falling in the first section. 1 to 3 is talking about understanding the power and sweetness of the Lord. Or just here, then you'll be able to know about me, the Supreme Absolute, Tat Shrunu, the first, last word of the first verse, 7.1. And the 4 to 12 is Krishna is talking about material and spiritual energies. Then the 13 to 14, Krishna is talking about the 3 modes of material nature, how living entities are delusioned by the 3 modes of material nature, and how to overcome it. Another way to say is Krishna controls these 3 modes. That's the 13 to 14, 2 verses. And then the 4th section is 15 to 19. 4 kinds of people surrender and 4 do not. Or impious never surrender and pious do. Either way we put it. And then verse number the 20 to 25, 5th section, demigod worship and impersonalism, or the nature of the living entities who worship demigods, who does also impersonal worship. This is the 5th section. And 6th section, 26 to 30, is bewilderment and freedom by knowing Krishna. So that's what this chapter 7 entitled here. We can see quickly. We can see from the Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining about the specifically Krishna is talking about the especially 7.3 is talking about the knowledge and realization of me are rare for jnanis and yogis. The first 6 chapters talking about rarely of realizing the sweetness of the Lord, Vijnana. First 6 chapters more is talking about karma and gnana. That's why even in the 7th chapter we see that karma mishra bhakti, when Krishna is talking about 7.16, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrito jana apto jignasur abdhardi gnani chapartha. 4 kinds of people approach me with different desires. So that is the karma mishra bhakti Krishna is talking about, and gnana mishra bhakti. And then later on we see in 29, jara marana mokshayam asrit yatanti te brahma tad vidu Krishna adhyatma karma chakilam. He's talking about yoga mishra bhakti. So this is just chapter 7 is starting, so that's why we see these variations. It culminates in chapter 9 and chapter 12 is talking about. That's why Prabhupada talks about in chapter 7 purport that the first, 2nd chapter and 3rd chapter more of a level 1 confidential. The more confidential is chapter number 7 and 8 in Bhagavad Gita is more confidential. The most confidential is chapter number 9, because it talks about to the highest degree, the pure devotion service. And obviously chapter 12 also talks about, but chapter 9 gives much more details. So the glories are there in chapter 12, but the chapter 9, how to come to that, what is that pure devotion service and how to come to that perfection is being given in chapter 9 elaborately. Whether it's chanting, whether it's offering, so everything is described, all those clearly steps. Now, and Krishna declaring boldly, asking Arjuna to declare, my devotee never perishes. So everything is there, and that's why it's the most confidential chapter 9. Now, from Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur to now Baladev Vidyabhushan is saying chapter 7. 7 is describing mainly powers of the Supreme Lord, most worthy of worship, and 4 types of worshipper and 4 types of non-worshipper. First to 6 chapters, Swarupa of Jnana, worshipper meant to realizing it, and 7 to 12 is Swarupa of Lord, object of worship by Jiva, and meant to realize this. This way it is explained. Now let's understand the actual why here it is mentioned in the translation. This verse, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. What exactly it means? Out of thousands, many thousands among men. Who are these thousands are among men? So who is coming to, and who are these siddhas? And ultimately, what Krishna is talking about, who have achieved, hardly one knows me in truth. So that one who knows in truth, who is that person, personality or persons, so we can understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining in Rupa Siksha, chapter number 19 of Madhya Leela in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Raghupati Upadhyaya, explain tell me about Lord Krishna. What is the best worship, and what is the best form of worship? What is the best mellow? So everything about the topmost is asking about in front of Vallabh Bhattacharya, Vallabhacharya. Basically, later on he becomes. So Rupa Goswami also there later. Then he starts instruction later on. There he is explaining the Raghupati Upadhyaya quotes this verse. Shyamam eva param rupam puri madhupuri vara vaya kaishoram dhyayam adya eva paro rasaha. So the topmost is the Shyama Sundara Krishna, not Vasudeva Krishna, not Mathura or Dwaraka Krishna. It's talking about Shyama Sundara Krishna is the topmost. And then out of all the places, Madhura Puri is the topmost, specifically Vrindavan. It is still coming under Madhura. That's it, Madhura Puri. And then out of Krishna's different forms, especially what is the topmost, especially the one, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, who is in the age of Kaishora, 16 and a half years old, Navayavana. So that personality is the topmost. And then highest, the rasa is Adya Eva Paro Rasa, the conjugal rasa. So Madhurya Rasa, that is the topmost. Now then here the tattva is mentioned. What is the tattva? Again, further Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Rupa Goswami. Krishna tattva, bhakti tattva, rasa tattva, sabha sikhaila Prabhu, Bhagavata Siddhanta. So the ultimate is Krishna tattva is nothing but ultimate truth about Lord Krishna. And bhakti tattva, ultimate truth about devotional service. Then rasa tattva, ultimate truth about transcendental mellows. Then finally Bhagavad Siddhanta, conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, ultimate truth about the conclusions. So all this must be understood. It's not theoretically knowing that Krishna is born from Devaki and Vasudeva and Nanda and Yashoda is not enough. So fully understanding all aspects of the Supreme Lord. That means we have to understand all these three principal energies: internal energy, marginal and external energy. That external energy also has many facets to it. We see that the Maya, which generally we are deluded by this Maya, that's why these living entities will come to that. So what does it mean out of many thousands among men? So Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. There are different kinds of people. So there is describing these categories. Dharmachari madhye bahuta karmanishta, koti karmanishta madhye eka jnani shrestha. Out of thousands of people who are following the followers of Vedic knowledge, they're after these fruitive activities, karmanishta. They're after getting something, pious credits, and then using it. They're attached to the results of pious credits and using it, opening ashram or whatever. And then further it is mentioned koti karma nishta. Out of thousands and thousands of those who are fixed in this fruitive activity business, karma, karma kanda vichar, then out of them the topmost is eka jnani shrestha. In that the one who is performing jnani, which means this impersonalist, merging into the Brahman effulgence. That is the first level of the three levels of realization, which is Brahman effulgence is the what you see, the pervading aspects of the Supreme Lord. That is the level one. The merging into that is the jnanis. So both are, but either way, both are looking for personal benefit. They are not looking the karma nishta are looking for fruitive results, And Gnanam, here Gnana Shrestha, they are also looking for merging into Brahman. They are looking for personal benefit. They are not exchanging in love with Krishna. They are not in rasa with Krishna here. So that is the first problem. So those are all. This is the first category. When Krishna is saying Manushyanam Sahasreshu, here this is what. Before this also you can consider there are different categories. Jalaja Navalaksham 8.4 million, that is there. But I am talking about further categories, main categories. Then further it is mentioned, Koti Jnane Madhya Haya Eka Jnana Mukta, Eka Jnana Mukta, Koti Mukta Madhya Durlava Eka Krishna Bhakta. So out of these thousands and thousands of Jnanis, even those who are merging into Brahman, in that Eka Jnani, only hardly one may be liberated. Even though many, they think that they are liberated because Vimukta Manina, Prabhupada explained that imperfect knowledge. They think that they are liberated, they are Narayana, but they are not so. So that's why, very rare to find one who is liberated in that Jnana Marga system. In that again, Koti, out of those who are liberated, Koti Mukta means already liberated. Mukta Madhye, Durlava Eka Krishna Bhakta. So it is very rare to find the Krishna Bhakta in them. So there further it is mentioned. So who is that? What is the difference between all of them and Krishna Bhakta? That is explained further by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Santa Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Asam. So they are all looking for material opulence, material perfection, including yogis. Bhukti, the karmanistas are looking for fruitive activities, fruitive results. They will open up. Some are desiring attached results, some are not attached, but still they fall under the same category. So because they are not after liberation, they are not after the Supreme Lord either. It's a personal form. So that is why they are calling under Bhukti. And the Mukti is liberation, wants to merge into the Brahmana. They are also looking for personal benefit, merging. The third category, the Siddhis. Here, when it is talking about Siddhi, it includes all these categories. Especially the yogis who are after this mystic perfection. That is also coming under material opulence. They are not really trying to exchange rasa or serve the Supreme Lord. There is no service here. So that is the fundamental problem. So Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakali Asam. Everybody is unhappy. None of them are happy. So then further, the final conclusion is mentioned, a very important verse, Srimad Bhagavatam verse, and Chaitanya Charitamrita also is mentioned. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlava prasantatma kotishu api mahamuni. Out of muktas who are free from ignorance, out of siddhas nearly attained perfections, and there is hardly one pure devotee of Narayana, completely satisfied and peaceful, prashantatma, very rare to find. So, but you can say maybe demigods also devotees of Lord Narayana. But here it is mentioned Narayana Parayana. What is the difference? Madhvacharya, Prabhupada quotes Madhvacharya and explaining what is the devotee of Narayana and Narayana Parayana. There is a difference. Madhvacharya quotes verse Nava Kotyastu Devanam Rushaya Sapta Kotya Narayanayana Sarve Ye Kechit Tat Parayana. 90 million demigods, 70 million sages are devotees of Lord Narayana. But among them, only few are called Narayana Parayana. That means they are fully surrendered and just simply after serving the Supreme Lord without expecting any results. Without expecting. And then there are gradations which is in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami writes, where it is mentioned. In this bhaktas also, pure bhaktas, within that prema tara, prema tama, within that also the topmost comes to all the way, comes to Srimati Radharani. After explaining about the gopis of Vrindavan, the topmost is Srimati Radharani. So that in this way we have to understand when Lord Krishna is saying here, out of many thousands of among men, he is talking about this karmanistha, jnananistha, yoganistha. Then finally the bhaktas, the pure bhaktas, are very rare to find. So now the main point is also kachiti yadda siddhaye, perfection. How to attain this perfection? And unless we understand this tattva and practice it, that's why the before verse is also important. Jnanam vijnanam. So Vijnana means knowing the knowledge, but Vijnanam means realizing the knowledge. That means another way is the understanding the power of the Supreme Lord, powers of the Supreme Lord, where Krishna is explaining from verse number 4, material and spiritual energies. But understanding the sweetness of the Supreme, when you will understand sweetness, if you want to understand any person, detailed, confidential, actual sweetness, what he likes, what he doesn't like, then you have to be very confidential associate of him, confidential friend of him. Then only you'll know. Same way. So when you'll know sweetness, Vijnana, practical, when you apply this transcendental knowledge in the service of the Supreme Lord and his representative, then anything can happen. Then we'll be able to get revelations. So that's why this the actual revelations of bhakti, the pearls of bhakti, this chapter 7 onwards, it's starting. That's why the chapter 7 first verse is very, very important verse, where it is talking about sadhana bhakti, the highest degree of sadhana bhakti, from coming maya asakta manapar, the connection, because so far 6 questions asked by Arjuna in the till 6 chapters, and 7th chapter Arjuna is not asking question, but Krishna himself starts the describing this knowledge, because in the 6th chapter Krishna explained, after explaining all types of Astanga Dhyana Yoga, Krishna is explaining Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratma, one who is remembering and thinking of me, then he is the topmost. Then how will you think of him? Then Krishna is saying, that start with, then that is the connection. 6.47 is connecting verse to 7.1. That's what Krishna is talking about. Maya asakta manapardha. Your mind, try to attach your mind to me. Maya asakta mana. By how? What is the method? Like if you want to know the sun, everybody wants to see God. So how do you know that God exists or God is there? Then Prabhupada explain. Everything follows. There is a method, systematic method, scientific method. If you want to know whether sun is there or not, you can you can look at your watch. Depending on the time, you know that when sun is setting, when the sun is rising. So that is the method to identify whether sun exists or not. Same way, if the God exists or not, means you can follow the same mechanism here in 7.1 Krishna. Yogam minjan mat astraya. If you take shelter of me or my representative by performing this bhakti yoga, then you will understand me, then you can see me, then you can realize about me and my opulences, including all the energies. So those energies, as we see that because the why we are not able to realize, because of the 3 modes of material nature, especially the Maya is divided into many sections. And especially main broad categories is Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. And that Mahamaya is divided into Jiva Maya and Guna Maya. And that Jiva Maya is divided into 2 again. Avaranatmika Shakti and Prakshepatmika Shakti. Avaranatmika Shakti means one who is covered, living entity is covered, the knowledge is completely covered, especially about the Supreme Lord and his relation with the Supreme Lord. That is completely covered. So that is called Avaranatmika Shakti. Then Prakshepatmika Shakti acts. That is the second category under Jiva Maya. The Prakshepatmika Shakti means it is diverting. This energy is diverting the living entity, giving the various. Someone who's unmuted, please mute yourself, please. So Prakshepatmika Shakti means diverting and giving the various allurements. You don't need to chant. Nicely enjoy, beg, borrow, steal, drink ghee, or enjoy. This life is, that's what Prabhupada explained. Perfection of life means people think that somehow increase the sense enjoyment, increase the pleasure, how to satisfy the senses, the body, the mind. That's all. Nobody is caring about going beyond, actually perfecting their life of going beyond birth, death, how to conquer the birth, death, old age, disease. That they are not thinking. Janma mrityu jara dukkha dosha. They are not. Nobody is looking at that. So that is the actual perfection of life here. Krishna is talking about. Siddha means. So that can only happen when we understand. So that's why the Jiva Maya, unless we understand why, how come we are covered. So that's why not everybody is coming to Krishna consciousness, because their knowledge is completely covered. And sometimes we try to give book or prasad, nobody wants. They don't even want it. They don't even want to see us. Sometimes they completely seeing from distance, they go some other direction. So because of this Avaranatmika Shakti is completely captured them. So, and Prakshepatmika Shakti is diverting and alluring, giving all other nice material enjoyment, giving them. So, and then the Guna Maya is, we all know, these three modes of material nature, Triguna-atmaka, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And then, so that is what we have to understand. Now, how to attain perfection, and we have to also understand this Maya, external energy is acting. We can get perfection just like we can see the day-to-day examples. Also, when we are going to any place here, if you want to go to Golok Vrindavan, if you want to go to the spiritual abode, conquer this birth, death, old age, disease. So when we want to go to India or any vacation, we plan. There must be planning. We don't, yes, maybe small place we may not plan much. But if we are going to India, definitely we plan much ahead of the time. You buy the ticket as online, or you go through agent. So that means we must go through. If you want to go to the spiritual world, if you want to conquer, we must go through an agent. That is a mandatory and must. Without that, there is no question. That agent is nothing but that's why Krishna is telling Mad Ashraya. One must take shelter of my representative. That is the spiritual bona fide spiritual master. That is the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. So without that, there is no question that we'll be able to cross over this material miseries. And then further, we can see that in our life, as we go through, even on our, sometimes while traveling also, we may get stuck in different places, either flight cancel or floods or hurricane, whatnot. Many times these things happen. Then you are stuck somewhere. You don't even know the place. Then you call up friends, or you find out from online, or somebody else. That means you need to be in the association, or you need devotees' help. If you want to progress in devotions, we must be in the association of devotees, and we must inquire. We must confidentially discuss. Without that, so the planning is required. That means planning how to improve our chanting in the morning. That means we must associate with those, as Rupa Goswami gives, sadhu sangha sato vrate. Advanced devotee, we must associate with those who have developed perfection. Prabhupada says 20 years it took for him to perfect his chanting, perfect his Krishna consciousness. That means how much serious we have to become, and how much we have to associate with those and ask questions how to perfect our chanting. First of all, the problem is getting up itself is not a problem. There is no consistency in our getting up. So waking up and chanting. So, or even if we wake up, we have some other things to do, but not chanting. And without deity worship, all these are secondary. First priority Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given is, we can see, as we are discussing now, the Lord Krishna's daily activity in chapter number 17, Krishna, what is written? Lord Krishna, what is he doing? He's doing, after washing his mouth and hands, what is he doing? He first doing meditating on himself. That is Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is meditating on, because he doesn't have anything to do. So he is the Supreme. But for us, chanting the holy name, so that is the first and foremost. As soon as not, yes, if you have deity seva, then definitely you need to do that. But otherwise, the priority is to do this chanting immediately. Yes, if you are attending Mangalarti, you attend it, then finish. Or from home, you attend online Mangalarti. Either way, first the priority is to finish at least some rounds, if not 16 or more. So that means there must be planning required of our life, what job we should take, and how to plan our life, how to plan our family activities. Everything must be planned before. That planning is required. Otherwise, there is no possibility of improving our chanting. Without improving our chanting, our anarthas will not go away at all. And that we'll talk about it in a minute. What these 22 personalities, these various demons here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other acharyas explain about this various 22 demons or 23 demons Lord Krishna killed. At least some of those names mentioned in the Krishna book. So those are the various anarthas. What it means, we need to understand. So that the planning is required, and associating with devotees, especially advanced devotees who have perfected their chanting, or at least they are considerably doing much better. They have developed some taste in chanting. How to get there? We have to ask questions. Most of the time, we don't ask questions. We don't have any questions. Or even if we have, questions are not about how to improve our chanting, how to improve our service, what are the offenses, how to overcome. We don't ask these questions. Neither we hear from our spiritual master, neither we hear touch no, means with rapt attention we must hear. So then further we also see that when we are in the job also there are promotions. What do? They ask for references. They ask, okay, you have to give at least 2 references or more. At the end of your review, yearly reviews, we are supposed to give review. Then those references they check. What did you do positively? What did you do negatively? Overall, what is a summary? What you did throughout the year? This is what they will find out. Yes, this is in the professional life. When you come to spiritual life also, so that's why we must. That means references means obviously who the Supreme Lord you think when Supreme Lord is given generally to get directly the mercy of Krishna directly, Lord Krishna accepting us, very rare chance. Nectar Devotion talks about it. So but the best way to get is through Krupa Siddhi. That means through devotees, through pure devotees. Prabhupada recommending. Srimad Radharani's associate recommending. When Srimad Radharani recommends, Krishna can never deny it. So that means her associates, Nityananda Prabhu, is representative, spiritual master, or any advanced devotees who are pure devotees on the platform. So following Srila Prabhupada's instruction, very, with full surrender and sincerity. Then by serving them, by associating with them, by confidentially discussing with them, then they will give reference. Yes, this devotee is extraordinary. This is exalted person. He is always doing service. He doesn't want anything else. He's simply like Jayananda Prabhu, simply busy in his own service, and he's always engaging others in service. He doesn't talk about anything else. He doesn't know anything other than Krishna and his service. That's it. That is his whole life, end to end. That's how we can see. And Prabhupada said, yes, he went back to Godhead and put his picture in front of every time you see Jagannath Radhayatra, his picture must be there. And we must celebrate his appearance and disappearance. In this way, Prabhupada mentioned clearly. This and many others Prabhupada mentioned like that. So these are the pure devotees. So unless they refer us, that where is the question of our progress? So that means other devotees must think that this devotee is doing nice service. He's not doing prajalpa. He's not talking about this devotee is doing that devotee is doing that. No, he's not. That means we have more priorities than thinking about Krishna's chanting and Krishna's service. We have other priorities in our life. This is the biggest problem. These are the anarthas. So then we can attain perfection. If we don't consider, we don't know about these anarthas first of all, and we don't inquire about it, how to come out of these anarthas, and which position we are in out of the sadhana bhakti, which Krishna is talking about 7.1. Mada, what is it? Maya asakta mana parda asakti. Material attachment to spiritual attachment. Asakti is one of the stage, which is 7th stage. In one way, it is considered sadhana bhakti, the highest pinnacle of sadhana bhakti from Madhav Shraddha to Sadhu Sangha. That means associating devotees, bhajana kriya, taking initiation. In that also, we see there are 3 types of birth. Saukara, which is being born from the mother and father, and then Savita, which is the first initiation, Harinam Diksha, and then there is Yajnika, which is second initiation, Brahman initiation, which is to increase our rati, our attachment to Krishna, touching him, feeding him, offering tulsi leaves. Offering tulsi leaves is the foremost important. Seeing Tulsi Marani, obeisance to Tulsi Marani, this must be done every day. This must be done every day. When we come to temple, we must see, we must offer obeisance, we must worship, we must circumambulate. This must be done. At any cost, we must do. We shouldn't forget. Otherwise, there is no progress, because without Vrunda, there is mercy. Where are we going to go? Because without her being there, Krishna doesn't even accept. So what to talk about anything else? So that's why it is so important in our life. So that we have to remember on our back ornament. When we put our tilak also, we have to remember Tulsi Marana. So that is the most important part. We must. That's why Prabhupada says, Jananivas Prabhu says, without even dressing the deity, we must offer Tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. So that you can understand the importance so Prabhupada is giving, that offering Tulsi leaves. So that's why you see that when Krishna Balram deities were installed many times, Prabhupada simply he didn't do so much, so many mantras, and simply because of his pure devotion is offering Tulsi leaves, everything's done. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also said. So this is the importance of offering Tulsi leaves. So understanding this aspects of, especially the anarthas, understanding, taking references, that means getting references, that means we must do nice service. We must try to become just like Akrura. And when Akrura is going to Vrindavan, when Kamsa sent, he is thinking How is always, Prabhupada is mentioning in Krishna book, is always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. From the minute he started, he's always thinking, how can I get there? How I will be able to, whether Krishna will accept me or not. And then he also thought, I'm unfit to serve Krishna. What qualification do I have? Prabhupada says, this is the first and foremost quality of pure devotee, who is always thinking that he is unfit to serve Krishna. So this is the qualities we have to develop. That will come only when we serve the other devotees, when we serve the Supreme Lord with love and affection, and reduce our anarthas, offenses, which is as we will discuss in this 22 offenses or anarthas through these various demons. So that's why in our review progress report, also in our technology world, they give these reviews references. Obviously, they take positive and negative. Negative means these are the anarthas, these are the offenses. So offenses must be avoided and anarthas must be understood, detected. They will tell you, your manager will tell you, review with you, and these are the things you need to improve upon. This is what you are doing good. So now who are we discussing? In spiritual or in our sadhana, who are we discussing? Most of the time, we are not discussing with anyone. What we are doing, where are we neither we are writing to spiritual master, nor we are discussing with any advanced devotee. What is my progress this year? What did I do? Where did I lack? What did I improve upon? Neither we are self-reflecting. That is also there in the technology world. There is a self-reflection, 360 degrees review. On your own, you obviously you ask for feedback from others. Then, so this is all, you have to apply this technological brain. If you are already working, apply it in spiritual life, how to improve, what it means. Simply working, then if we are not applying, then we are not learning any lessons. We must use. That's what Rupa Goswami keeps saying. Somehow or the other, use everything in Krishna service. Even your technological example, technological whatever going on, use it in Krishna service. So that will help us. Always look at that vision. Look at in that Shastra Chakshu. Keep that eyes open. What? That's why you can see that. You see gap, no? This is gap means gap is not the outlet. It is Govinda Madhipurusha. One who has that pure devotional eyes, then he will not see the material things. He's seeing the actual spirit behind it. He's seeing everything about Krishna, in each and everything, whatever he sees. He doesn't see material aspects. So that is the ultimate perfection. We are not there yet. So, but this is what the planning, understanding the offenses, understanding this, also getting the references. That means we have to do nice service. So understanding these demons. The first one, Krishna killed is Putana demon. Putana demon is representing pseudo guru. So that means we are not accepting the actual real guru, but we are accepting. That means, especially if we are not initiated, so we must understand who is the actual real guru. One who is following Srila Prabhupada closely and trying to follow his instructions, so is the bona fide guru. Or the Shastra is giving. One who is fixed up in absolute truth, following, not only understanding, but is also is achar and vichar, both are on the same line. So from Mundaka Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita, we see that Tadvidhi Pranipatena verse. We see from Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna himself is talking to Uddhava. So we understand who is the real guru, who is the pseudo guru. Then Sakatasura is representing carrying the burden of cartload of old and new bad habits, lethargy and vanity. We must understand this is the biggest problem. We have lethargy. Today is a long weekend, we will sleep. We will wake up at 5 or 6. Mind will keep telling us this only. This is Avaranatmika and Prakshatmika Shakti are working also nicely on devotees, giving various allurements. Sleep more, no problem. Tomorrow you can do that. So this is the Sakatasura demon giving this lethargy. And then Trunavarta is representing the whirlwind demon, false pride arising from the material scholarship, which gives rise to bogus philosophies. So obviously, even as devotees also, this is the biggest problem. False pride keep coming forth in the forefront. That understanding that I became a scholar, I know many things. So that is also we have to somehow or the other curtail that, come out of that business. So the fourth one is the deliverance of Nalakuvar and Manigriva. So it's talking about the breaking the twin Arjuna trees. So where they are representing arrogant pride from popped up aristocracy, rooted in madness for wealth. So this is the Bhogeswara Prasaktana. So the wealth must be dovetailed in Krishna's service. Then it won't cause madness. So, otherwise it will do that job, because that is the job of Ardha. So, Vatsasura next is the calf demon. It is representing a childish type of mentality which gives rise to the type of a greediness, which results in a wicked type of mischievousness. So this is greediness. Actually, we want to attain this rasa, the mellow in devotion service, the Shanta or Dasya, especially Dasya or Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. There is gradations, obviously, neutrality and master servant. So we are after the Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. Especially last three are we are devotees, especially following in Brahma Madhva Gaudi Sampradaya, more and more on these three, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhva, not so much about neutrality or the master and child, master and master and servant relationship. So where here it's talking about greediness. So we must have that greediness. Where Rupa Goswami is talking about Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitam iti Kriyatam api labhyate kuto api labhyate Janma Koti Sukrita Virna labhyate. So the greediness, lovely, intense greed to serve the devotees, intense greed to serve the Supreme Lord and spiritual master. That means we must write, and that's why Prabhupada used to accept letters. Whether spiritual master will reply immediately or when it will happen, that depends on our seriousness, that depends on our sincerity and our sincere prayers. Akrura was praying constantly throughout the day, throughout his day, from morning to evening, he was riding on the chariot, comes send him. Then he was thinking about absorbing, I'm unfit and now, but still Krishna will accept some or the other, because he will be always, he is very merciful. So he will accept me by seeing my unfit quality. He will accept me. So there are so many ways he's thinking, and he was also thinking, seeing how Krishna's lotus hand, he was thinking about each and every bodily parts of Supreme Lord, how much mercy he has given. With his lotus hands, he blessed Bali Maharaj. So by just giving 3 steps of land with his lotus hand, he gave the water, and then he conquered the whole. He gave up the Indra position, but he got the biggest position, becoming a pure devotee. So Bali Maharaj got that position by just blessing. He received the blessing from the lotus hands. In this way, he was thinking about Bali Maharaj. He was thinking about how gopis of Vrindavan, by simply touch of the hands of the lotus hands of Lord Krishna, then they were able to dance with them, associate with Lord Krishna. In this way, he was thinking about all various devotees, how they achieved perfection, a lotus hand, lotus feet. In this way, he was thinking, constantly absorbed in the thoughts. So that's why it is very important to develop this kind of greed and prayers. Every day we must pray. And then next one is Bakasura. Bakasura is representing the cunning and duplicity, deceptiveness, and false types of behavior. So this we must detect, and we must closely observe this, or we must be always asking others, otherwise at least confidentially discussing with them and how to check this, how to identify this, and then rectify it. And then the Agasura demon is representing the cruelty and violence against devotees. And so also this sometimes more we become senior, more we become in the devotional service, more and more longer periods, this also can cause. Or sometimes the beginning also, when we are working with devotees, no matter even somebody is arguing or telling you are wrong, you are useless, whatever they may say, but still we shouldn't create violence. This is the first and foremost instruction we receive from Dhruva Maharaj or Suniti's story. So Mother Suniti is telling, yes, Surichi is bad, Surichi is, yes, she said this, she didn't allow you to sit, but first thing she said, don't think bad about her. Don't do any, think about bad, but means don't offer prayers or ask, okay, let her get this thing, that thing, this disease or something, whatever, unwanted things. No, that we shouldn't at all ask. Rather, we should supposed to pray, even if it is our enemy also. So that is the way. Sagasura is representing this cruelty and violence within devotees and within any living entity. That is out of one of the 64 items Rupa Goswami is stopping, 7th chapter or 8th chapter, Nectar Devotion. So and then Brahma Vimohan Leela, representing stealing about some mundane activities and speculative scholasticism. So that we talked about already. Scholar, more we become read and all, more we have to become subservient to the devotees, spiritual master and authority. Prabhupada always emphasizing, Gaur Govind Maharaj emphasizing, tomorrow is his appearance day. Always in front of spiritual master, however, you must be scholar. Always think that you are a fool, number one. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. That's what our acharyas are saying. So we must remember. Again and again, we must be repeating this within our mind every day so that we become like that, fool number one. So it's good to be fool number one in front of spiritual master, of course, especially even in front of devotees also. Good, especially in front of the authority and senior devotees. Next, Dhenukasura representing gross materialistic intelligence, ignorance of spiritual knowledge. This is very important. I will go quickly. Already 8:01 late. Kaliya is representing brutality and treachery. So because so much, created havoc in Yamuna and against all the devotees covered by extinguishing first one. Intercommunal and discord among Vaishnavas. This is very important. We must have always positive feelings, always have that nice cordial relationship with Vaishnavas. Whether they like us or not, that is immaterial. That we shouldn't care about. What we should care about, what I should develop, what others think of me, what others do with me, that we shouldn't care about. We should care. If we want to develop bhakti and relationship with Krishna and spiritual master, then this is what we have to always think about, positive things only, not negative things. So that is the representing here, discord and intercommunal. Pralambasur representing lusty inclination, desire for personal gain or honor. This is very prominent in any living and including devotees. Second forest fire, disruption of religious principles and interference with religious people by atheism. So we have to be very careful with that also. Correcting the Brahmanas performing sacrifice. This is callousness towards Krishna due to pride because of one's position in Varnashrama. This is also a very important aspect. Sometimes we are too caught up with rules. We are too caught up with austerities. It will become like Prachetas austerity, perform so many austerities Lord Shiva has given. Then by that mercy they are able to come to the perfection. And then they forgot because they got married, and Lord Krishna obviously gave, Lord Vishnu appeared and gave the mercy, you must marry. Then Narada Muni appeared because they are still performing bhakti. Then because of austerities, somehow or other they lost the actual instructions. Then they appealed to Narada Muni. Then Narada Muni again instructed, what is the use of these austerities and yoga and this and that? We are not actually developing, doing with love to Lord Krishna. What is use? Then in that way further instructed. This is in 4th canto, chapter number 30 and 31. Very important. Understanding the Prachetas and Lord Shiva's and Narada Muni's instruction to Prachetas. Nanda Maharaj stolen by Varuna, thinking that spiritual life can be enhanced by intoxication. Yeah, correct. Nanda Maharaj delivered from the snake, rescuing the truth of eternal Krishna consciousness, which has been swallowed by impersonalists. So when we are dealing with impersonal, we have to be very careful. That's why that is the job of the pure devotees. That is the job of, if you are really want, we can try. Best way is to give prasadam. So by making sure, otherwise we fall down into the same thing. So that's why we shouldn't hear, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhaktisiddhanta, all acharyas telling, don't hear from Mayavadis. Otherwise, if you open Google, internet, anybody you want to hear, yes, everybody is singing, Lata Manga, everybody is singing about Krishna. What is wrong in it? Yes, everybody is God. What is wrong in worshiping? Yes, all these philosophies are there. What can be done? So we have to, that's why we have to be sincere. Then only Krishna will reveal what is right, what is not right. So the 18th is Shankachuda. Princess, what is that? Proneness towards acquiring name, fame, and desire for sensual enjoyment under the plea of devotion. So this is also very important. Then Aristos were representing pride arising from indulging in false religions invented by cheaters, which causes neglect of bhakti. So this also we have to make sure, because when we are performing Krishna bhakti, the clear-cut process is given. What Prabhupada has given, the reading and hearing and chanting and serving devotees, engaging. This is the primary focus. Not so much, oh, I'll read this book, I'll read that book. You have hundreds of books in your home, and you will keep reading this, that. We'll discuss so many other things. What this government is doing, that government. Where you want to go? You want to be in politics or you want to be in Krishna Bhakti? What do you want to do? Yes, if you are active, yes, go for it. But we have to understand. Otherwise, where are we going to go? That we have to decide ourselves. KC demon, the feeling that I am the great devotee and spiritual master. Yeah, this is the KC demon, the horse demon is representing. So that's why Krishna put his fan to become like a red hot fire. so he couldn't breathe, so he died immediately. Then Vyomas are representing number 21, associating with thieves and other rascals, and with people who put themselves forward as avatars. Yes. So in this way, we can see each and every demon representing these various anarthas, and we have to be how much we have to be careful. So that's why it's very rare to be a Krishna Bhakti. Yes, we might be Karma Mishra Bhakti, we might be Jnana Mishra Bhakti, we might be Yoga Mishra Bhakti. We want to come to the pure platform of pure Bhakti, then we have to be very careful, understanding, nothing to be scared about. It is just we have to be sincere and we have to understand these facts. These are out there. How to put my boundary against these demons, demoniac qualities, demoniac personalities. How I can protect myself, and then how I can progress more, improve more. This is what we have to constantly strive for. Then Prabhupada will shower mercy, Lord Nityananda will shower mercy. So this is what I think I will conclude already very late. Sorry for that. Thank you for patiently listening. Any reflections, questions, comments, corrections, please do so. All those to Sri Prabhupada, all those to Gaur Bhakta.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanapranam, always to Srila Prabhupada.
Good Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dhanapranam.
Prabhu, since we went through a lot of anarthas, I wanted to just check if we can get a reference to read more and learn more, a little more in depth about this.
Reference? Can you rephrase it again?
Just wanted to read a little bit more on this, Prabhuji, about the anarthas that we just mentioned in the class.
Yes. Yeah, I can share Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya so that everybody can get.
Yes, Prabhuji. So my question on the anarthas was, Prabhu, that just to understand for my more clarity, for more clarification, is that we sometimes have like anarthas or combination of all the anarthas. Then in reality, like we are saying and we are always talking that we have to be positive or we don't have to criticize, but at the same time, indirectly or directly or subtly, it happens without knowing or unintentionally. So I just wanted to clarify, how do we know that we are ourselves doing it but the intentions are not that?
How to know whether we are doing it?
Yes.
We will be able to know if we are doing it. We will be able to know. Otherwise will pinpoint. Either or, when we are seriously hearing through classes from spiritual master or advanced devotees, then we will be able to know this I have done, this mistake. We will be able to know. It just it requires more prayers. It requires more hearing. Yes, in the beginning stages, it may be difficult to detect. As more we practice, then Lord Krishna will give that revelation. So where these things are happening, where we are doing this. So, but it's a gradual progress. Obviously, yes, there are different levels. That's why Anartha Nivurti is the biggest stage, which takes many lifetimes. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said. So when somebody is in the Nishta stage, which is above the Anartha Nivurti, which means 75% Anarthas must be cleared almost. So that means it requires a great, tremendous practice, especially the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra with quality rounds in the morning as much as possible. Yes, pure devotee. Prabhupada can do throughout the day. He was doing 4 buckets. Obviously, he's doing more than 16 or 32 or what. So he's always in that thinking, remembering and thinking, chanting always Prabhupada. But he can do, he said, morning, before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, before sleeping, 4 batches, 4 into 4, 16, you can do. Yes, but if you try to follow that, then it becomes, our quality is not there. We can look at ourselves. That's why we have to record and we have to see how we have to monitor our chanting also. Same way we have to monitor our service. We have to monitor our service means we have to see how much we are thinking about Krishna. Either we are hearing the class or we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra while doing the arati, while doing the service, many times we don't, we forget. So that means we are not on that level yet. So we have to go we have to see how we can come there. So it requires practice. So that's what Krishna is mentioning. So abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanigamana. So constant practice. So you're already doing wonderful service. Just keep doing it, and Lord Krishna will reveal. And pay more attention. So what's happening when you're doing, then so that way you'll be able to know. So whether your any offenses are happening without unknowingly, if it happens, yes. If you are serious, Krishna will reveal. Krishna will tell you through devotees, other devotees. So yeah.
Okay. And while chanting Prabhuji, that sometimes it happens that we get distracted, and it is not like constant flow is there in chanting. So how can we minimize that, Prabhu?
Yes, that is the biggest problem for everyone. So one way to do is we should, before that there is what is it, japa affirmations, as Mahatma Prabhu and others says, which means that's why as soon as we wake up, we offer our prayers obviously, and then as perly we should chant Siksastakam, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, those 8 verses, and we should also chant the Mangalarti, we chant those 8 verses. So those we should chant some Saradava prayers, where it's talking about the spiritual master's mercy. These two, and then Namastakam is also there, first verse of Namastakam, where it is comparing the each and every bead is the gopis, the toe or the lotus feet of the gopis, 8 beads, 108 beads, 108 gopis. So in the personally, you're thinking that you are touching the beads, you're not pulling strong, you're not shaking and doing all kinds of things with the tulsi beads. Rather, you are slow and gentle. And when we are chanting, also we should do fast. At the same time, we shouldn't jump the word, because if you don't do fast, what will happen? Mind will go some other place. Oh, this I have to do, that I have to do, or something thoughts. So it should be faster, it should be louder, and especially in the morning, we should either walk and chant, or you sit and open your eyes. If you close our eyes, many times we will fall asleep after a round or 2 rounds or few rounds. This I'm telling based on my observation of my own chanting. So it's a long way to go, but this is the way to cut down, or at least to some degree of our the mind going here and there, running here and there, doing faster chanting. That's why we have to time the chanting. Initially, yes, it will take 7 to 8 minutes, but as you practice it more and more, concentrate more and more, monitor our chanting, then it will come down to close to 6 minutes. We must be expert to come to 5 minutes. Especially it's very difficult unless we really experts. Then we can come to that 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes chanting one round. Most of the times it's on an average 7 to 8. If you are taking 10 minutes, it's too slow. Mind will definitely run into so many other thoughts. So that's what you can observe. Some people give the picture of the Lord, look at that, mind is distracting. Yes, you can try. But generally, yes, this is also when we are doing chanting with other devotees. This general practice, I'm telling from my side. Yes, others may have their own opinions, but I'm telling my opinion, my understanding of it. We must hear what we are chanting. Yes, when we are doing a japa, tan or whatever online or there, especially online, yes, one person has to chant. If somebody new person joins, he doesn't what's happening, what he has to do. At least he should hear. I mean, it shouldn't be void. It's that silence. Somebody has to hear at least some chanting going on. So that's one person should chant for sure. If everybody chants, then what are we hearing? So it's very difficult. It becomes so complicated. There is no. It will become very difficult to focus. At least this is my personal observation. Yes, others may have their own opinion. I'm telling you my personal,
Yes, Prabhuji.
understanding of it.
Same. Yeah, you
So
hear
generally,
a
I
lot
put
of
it on mute.
chanting.
I don't want
Yes.
to hear anything. It means I want to hear what my even Prabhupada's machine also. Even though you may have very slow, we have to hear our own chanting. Okay, that is what the Shastra. That's what Prabhupada is explaining. So that's why when we are doing group chanting, yes, one person chant, yes, that is good because others may join for whatever purpose that you should continue. But all others can put mute on themselves and then you should hear what he is chanting. So that or he or her. So that way we hear with rapt attention, we understand our mistakes, where our mind is going. Or next day I have to improve. Next day I have to maybe get up earlier. Maybe I have to finish my tasks. A lot of times what happens is we have a pending task, work related, job, whatever, different related, parents call, whatever, some emergency, something to do. So those we try to finish before. If you don't finish, definitely it will come while we are chanting this that. So what I have to do, so automatically will come. That's why as much as possible we have to plan. That's why for chanting, planning is very much required. Deity dressing, planning is required, but especially for chanting, planning is very necessary. If there is no proper planning, then definitely there is no way for us to improve our chanting actually. So that's why it is very important. Govind Maharaj is doing 2 hours, 3 hours reading and chanting 2-3 hours. So because that's why it helps, because you are already absorbed in the holy name, pastime, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. Then we are chanting automatically. You are more and more. You are already on that, different mode altogether. Then concentration will be more. So that's why this helps. If you want to hear 5 minutes of Prabhupada before chanting, yes, that's wonderful. So whatever makes it makes our mind, makes our thought, our hearing focused and steady, that's what we are supposed to do. So but we have to detect what's happening. That means we must record, we must closely observe our chanting. Same way with our service also. And we should ask devotees. You are asking, how do I know? We should ask for feedback. Just like in our office, they ask for feedback. So we should ask devotees, other devotees. So then we'll know, okay, any mistake, anything I can correct, anything I'm doing wrong. So that if you don't ask, obviously, if you are hungry, then you have to ask, mother or father. Without asking, nobody will give you. So it is the same, simple as that. So if you don't ask, then there is no question of detecting. There is no question of going further, correcting things. So that's why it's very important. So yes, in Prabhupada time, Prabhupada was directly receiving the letters. He is replying, and he was giving the telling his secretary, write it in this way, reply it. But Prabhupada wanted personally. But in some ways, because so many disciples, sometimes it happens, then some spiritual masters say, okay, they have the counselor, they have different method. But either way, that's why we must confidentially discuss. We must write to them. If not to Guru, you must write to that person in charge or the senior member, sannyasi or Siksha Guru, Grihastha. Doesn't matter what ashram he is in. So as long as the advanced leader is showing by his own actions, then by writing him, by talking to him, by communicating with him, what's going on in my life and how do I get to the next level. If you don't communicate, if you don't discuss with anybody, then where is the question of in our professional life itself, we are not going anywhere. If you don't do that, then where is the question in the spiritual life? There is no question of going up. So that's why it is very necessary to discuss, open up with someone in life for advancement. So that is what I would suggest, I would say.
Thank you,
Any other?
Prabhu. A lot of realizations that you shared will definitely help. I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful. Thank you.
Anything else? Already 8:20.
Prabhuji, Devin and Nithi here. I just
Yes.
had one simple question. In the morning, when we do Tulsi Aarti, sometimes my 2-year-old and 4-year-old kid, if they don't take shower, is it still okay for them to do the Aarti and the rounds for Tulsi Maharani, or they have to take shower?
Better not to do arti. They can do pradakshina if they want, but better not to do arti. Because we just read, right? Yes, rules and regulations. We are not Yamunacharya, we are not Madhavendra Puri. he said, yes, I don't want no Sandhya Vandana. No, yes, you can give me punishment for that, but I simply want to think about Lord Krishna and simply absorb in that. But we are not at that level. That's why for us the regulative principles are important. Uh, to the most degree, we must follow at least these. That means we must take bath, especially if you are doing arati. Yes, for chanting, it's not needed. Yes, for doing pradakshina, it's all right if the kids want to do. When we come to temple, definitely we need to take bath. If we want to enter into the temple room at our home, also we should take a bath as much as possible. In some rare cases, yes, we may have to do what can be done. So those are fine. Lord will accept it because the home date is not so strict to open the door or open sunlight, whatever, different reasons. Those are all fine. For child, we should be, the main principle is somehow or the other bring them to Krishna. That is the main principle. At the same time, try to avoid, if they didn't take bath, then don't let them do the arati. It is better to do that way if it is possible. So then they can offer obeisances, they can do the singing, kirtan, or any of that is fine. Yes, kids can generally wake up late. If both parents woke up before, then yes, we must somehow or the other engage them so that otherwise they will become cranky and it becomes difficult to manage our own sadhana and their thing also. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
And also there is one question. What verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita describes topmost form of Krishna to worship? Do you remember, Guruji? Can put it here.
What is the topmost worship or topmost? What is the exact question?
What verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita describes topmost form of Krishna to worship? I think you referred in the class.
Oh, that one. It's, okay. We are talking about that is CC Madhya Leela, chapter 19, verse number 106. This is very important. I was thinking to discuss this in a separate class because there are six Goswamis. Each one of them gives the biggest one is Rupa. Rupa Siksha is the biggest and topmost. Sanatan Siksha is there. Rupa and Sanatan both are very important. And then Raghunath Siksha, Raghunath Bhatta Siksha, Jiva Goswami Siksha, all these are there. But the first two, Rupa and Sanatan Siksha, is very, very important, and it's very big. Understanding the deeper insights of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed and which transformed into nectar of instruction, which transformed into nectar of devotion, transformed into many other books, Ujjwala Nilamani, Laghu Bhagavatamrita, so many books which transformed Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami also. So that's why this is in the Rupa Siksha, chapter 19. Two times it happens in Chaitanya Lila, Antya Lila also, but 19 is the biggest Rupa Siksha in the chapter Madhya Lila. Antya Lila is not so much instructions. It's more of a conversation and some instructions are there. But the 19 is the main Rupa Siksha chapter.
I just
Yeah.
shared.
Yeah. Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially Mahaprabhu's pastime, there are so many books, but the main book we should concentrate on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, we can refer Chaitanya Bhagavat also. There are, and then in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see in this chapter also other places where it says the instruction between Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is vividly, detailedly described by Kavi Karnapur, Sivananda Sen's son. That is, there is another book called, I think Bhanu Swami Maharaj translated it. It is called, I think, Chaitanya Chandrodaya, not no, Chaitanya Chandrodaya, something related. I forget the name. The two one Murari Gupta Karacha is there, and then this is Chaitanya Chandrodaya, which is written by Kavi Karnapur, translated by Bhanu Maharaj. Which explains more deeper direct instructions. That's what in the one of the purport Prabhupada is writing that in this chapter 19 chapter. So, but we should read without finishing Chaitanya Charitamrita. Don't jump into that. If you read one time, yes. If you want to refer, then yes, you can refer. But don't read too many books. So Prabhupada's recommendation is to go in the sequence of Bhagavad Gita to Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar, Devotion, Nectar. If you finish these books, then yes, you can read any other books. You can look into other books, but otherwise not recommended so much, because otherwise too much confusions will happen. Our mind will not be fixed. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Anything else?
So, Prabhu, what are the books, Prabhu?
Prabhupada said already for Bhakti Shastri, what is the 4 books? Bhagavad Gita, Isopanishad, Nectar Devotion, Part 1 especially, and Isopanishad, 4 books. Bhagavad Gita, Isopanishad, Nectar Instruction, Nectar Devotion, 4. And further is Bhakti Vedanta, Sarvabhauma, Bhakti Vaibhava, Vedanta, and Sarvabhauma, which is Bhagavatam, first canto, first to 6 cantos, and 6 to 12 can in this way. But our main focus are these books. Nectar Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Chaitamrita. If you finished one time, yes, you may want to refer other books of Chaitanya Bhagavat, because this is Prabhupada specifically as per Bhaktivinoda Thakur translated Bengali, and the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati given commentary, Amrita Pravaha Bhashya Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati his own comment. Then Prabhupada has written the commentary. But Prabhupada explains in some classes, same thing about Bhagavad Gita and says, I didn't have time, I want to write again Bhagavad Gita. This is not enough 400 pages. It will be more than 1,000 pages if I elaborate again. Same thing he was talking about Chaitanya Charitamrita also, because he is less time. With it short time, he has to come. That's why you will not see elaborate details in some of the purport, some of the verses. You don't even have purport, because Prabhupada was doing Herculean task within few months. Chaitanya Charitamrita was printed in 2 months, 17 books. So 2 months to print the translation. Also, Prabhupada did so fast, so quick. He doesn't have much time, so that's why Prabhupada had to do, because he has to present Chaitanya Charitamrita. Without presenting, there is no way, because this is the highest truth. So there is no other way for Prabhupada to do so.
Okay, Prabhu, got it. Thank you, Prabhu. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. We are close to the 8:30. 3 more minutes for another meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So anything else? Anybody else has anything to add? So we take now. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Thank you, Krishna Namananda Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. So let's pay our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarupasya, Prabha Sindhu Evacha, Patidana Pavanebhyo,
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnavanda
Ki
ki
Jai.
Jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita,
Jai.
Thank
Jai
you.
Nanda Kodi Vaishnava.
Jai.
Hare Premanandi, Hari.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining. So we'll have the classes tomorrow. Please join. Hare Krishna.
Hari